Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the third session in our series on Back to the Basics, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and engage prospects and customers. I'm David Fisher, also known as D-Fish. I will be your host today, as I am your host every day. But welcome back. I hope you're having a great day if you're watching this live. And as always, if you can go ahead and pop into the comments section where you're coming from, what city, state, zip code, neighborhood, part of the globe you're in. Would love to see that. Lets me know who I'm talking to, and also lets me know that I am talking to somebody and that the system is working. So that's always good as well. And if you are watching this on recording after we've recorded live, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day. I'm really excited about our topic today. We're going to be, of course, looking at the LinkedIn profile, but we're going to look at one of the sections that really creates a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and for good reason. A lot of people really screw it up, and that is the about section, what used to be called the summary. And so we're going to be diving in and looking at not only the approach you should be taking with your summary, and I keep calling it the summary, it's the about section, but it really is just the summary. Not only the approach, but really how to write it. And so that's what we're going to be going into. Oh, hey, Kim, how are you? Glad that you could join us today. Am I selling copies of my book of Habits? I can definitely find one of those for you. It's one of the first books I ever wrote. Feel free to shoot me a message, remind me, and we'll get you hooked up with a copy of that. That is not, I think, the only one that I have that's not available on Amazon. So you really went deep. And good to have you here from Northbrook. Thanks for joining in. So let's talk about the summary. And here's the reality. This is a 4-hour topic that I'm going to do in 25 minutes at most. So we're going to fly through this and try to jam in a bunch of stuff. But I want to extend the metaphor that we've kind of been talking about during these sessions of looking at LinkedIn as an online version of an offline networking conversation, or just any kind of human-to-human conversation you have in a business context. And just like you present yourself in a certain way if you went to a conference, a convention, any sort of networking scenario, you make sure that you looked good, you make sure that you say the right things. It's the exact same thing that we want to do with the LinkedIn profile. And so, we've talked about how to make sure that you look good, like physically. So your image, your headshot and the banner image. Yesterday, we talked about those first couple words out of your mouth, i.e. your headline. Today, we're looking at the meat and potatoes, right? The summary, the about section. And think about it this way. If you met somebody for the first time in a professional context, would you just start rattling off all of the things you sell, all the services and products you have? Would you just start listing off a series of your sales successes, right? Here's all the sales awards I've won. Would you just start talking about how cool you are? Would you just give them your resume objective session? Would you ever use the phrase results oriented when talking to somebody in person? Or would you be just completely silent? No, none of those things would happen. But that's exactly what people do when they're crafting their LinkedIn summary. And when you put it in that context, I hope that kind of makes you realize how strange most of those approaches are. When you'd have that conversation, what you would really do is say, your headline, hey, nice to meet you. This is what I do, right? We talked about with the headline, but then you give them some background. You tell them about yourself. And very specifically, if you're doing it well, you tell them about how what you do could help them, right? You'd speak in context of the person who's listening to you, because nobody is coming to your profile. And this is really important. Nobody's coming to your profile just because they want to join your fan club. They're coming to your profile because they have a problem, some sort of problem that they want to find a solution for. It could be that they're looking for a new employee, a new employer, a vendor, a partner, again, somebody to sell them something that will help them fix a challenge they have. That's what they're reading for. And so we want to make sure that we're crafting the profile summary in a way that is answering that question for them. All right, that is helping them go, oh, I see why so-and-so is worth more engagement, right? So in some ways, what you're also doing is, in many ways, giving them the reason to go to the next step. Think about it this way. If you're prospecting, if you're reaching out to new clients or prospective clients, and they go, oh, okay, well, this is actually kind of interesting. Let me find out more about this person. And they do a Google search, right, on you, or just go right to LinkedIn and search. But even if they Google search your name, your company, or your city, it's going to point them to your LinkedIn profile. That will be one of the top searches. So they click on it. They're then going to get some information about you, right? We already talked about the headline. We talked about the photo. But now this is the summary. This is where they're going to decide what they or not what they should know about you, but also like, should they care? And the biggest problem is that, especially with the summary, people don't see the effects of a crappy summary. They don't see people reading it and going, next, I'm not interested in moving on, right? Nobody calls one and says, I don't want to do business with you because I don't have trust in your ability to help me based on your summary. So that's the challenge. Now, let's talk more importantly, how to actually have a good summary. Couple things to keep in mind. One is there are different approaches. Again, based on your personality, what your goals are. There's over 600 million profiles out there. There's not just one way. And also, we're all individuals. We're all unique to some degree. Again, just like if we were at an offline in-person event, people would talk about themselves and their businesses differently. That's totally okay. So what I'm going to really go through is kind of is a structure, is an outline, but you need to fill it in the way that feels right for you. The second thing I want to talk about before we dive into some structure here is that writing is hard. And I actually think that this is one of the challenges that a lot of people have when crafting their LinkedIn profile in general, but definitely their summary. It's 2,000 characters. It's a big blank canvas, and writing is hard. Like I write for a living, or at least that's part of what I do for a living. You know, I write a lot. And it's sometimes hard for me. So I get that if you're not doing a bunch of writing, especially about yourself, it could be hard to just get started doing it. So I get that. I validate that. But it's still worth putting some time and energy into. And again, I'm going to give you a couple of shortcuts, which I think will help a little bit. So here's a very simple structure, a very simple way that you can craft a LinkedIn summary that actually engages with your reader. Now, go back to the three strategic questions that we always have to ask. I've mentioned them in the first two series. I'll mention them again. The three questions you have to answer: what's my goal? Who's my audience? How do I want them to see me? Now, when you craft that, yes, it helps, or when you answer those questions, it helps you craft your images, your headline. But obviously, this helps you with your summary, because what you want to think of is, if the perfect person, the perfect prospect, the perfect client is sitting across from me at a lunch table at a conference, what do I need them to know about me for them to want to further a relationship, for us to keep the conversation going? When you think about it that way, a lot of the stuff that honestly I see in LinkedIn profiles and I think is garbage goes away. I was doing a little research just this morning. I was just like, let me see, kind of what are some of the big no-nos. It was super easy to find. And again, it was like I saw somebody who literally had their summary was just all the things they did that like all their sales awards. Doesn't really help me as a prospect. All that means is that maybe you're going to try to be pushing aggressive so you can get the sales awards. I saw somebody who literally had just put their objective section. I'm a results-oriented professional. Who isn't? I hate that phrase. It's just so lazy. I saw people who had all the emojis and gimmicks and reach out to me and call me and blah, 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 blah. It was just bright and obnoxious. And I didn't actually know what the person did. We want to go, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's why you should care. So here's the three sections. Number one, tell people what you do. Just straight out. Don't be clever. Don't be fancy. Just tell people what you do. If you sell something to a certain type of people, say, hey, I work with this type of clientele. I work to help them with this type of problem. And the way I help them is through, working with these types of services or these types of products. Be that clear. One of the biggest challenges, I think, and I definitely have seen this even in the offline world with networking, is we try to be clever. We try to be funny. We think that that's what we have to do to be engaging. No, you don't. Actually, I was going to say maybe, but not really. You don't have to be. If you can be clever and clear, awesome. That is really, really hard to do. When in doubt, be clear, right? And don't, this is not a marketing thing. This is not about self-aggrandizement. Like if you're a financial planner, I work with a lot of financial service professionals. I've seen this, I work with people to help them hit their financial dreams. What does that mean? I don't know, especially if I'm just going to your profile. I've never found out about you. I work with my clients to help them have a brand that will make them famous. I don't know, I'm making something up here. That still doesn't, right? It's broad and it's vague. Versus I work with families who are just starting off to help them manage their finances, their taxes and investments so that they can maximize their returns, so they can take care of the family goals that they've created, right? And I'm, again, just kind of riffing on this a little bit, but you can see how that starts to pull a little more specificity into your profile. 2 to 3 sentences. By the way, I see that we have a bunch more people on, which is great. I know everybody jumps on 5 or 6 minutes later. Be sure to put where you're coming from down in the comment section. I'm also testing out my LinkedIn Live platform that I actually use for the recording. Now is bringing in the LinkedIn comments. I'm pretty excited about that. So it's kind of a test. So please do make sure you put like the city, state, zip code, country, neighborhood that you're coming from down in the comment section, just so I can say hi to you as well. And if you have any questions, please, as you're going through this, or things you've seen or ideas that you'd like to do, that's why we're on this LinkedIn Live. We have the opportunity to have that conversation. Okay, so that's the first section. And by the way, you'll notice I'm saying 2 or 3 sentences. That's it. Keep it pretty small. Hey, John, how you doing? All right from here in the Chicago area, from Wilmette. Very cool, down the road. Oh, hey, Brian, good to see you again too. Thanks for joining. Now everybody's coming in. I love it. Hey, Matt and I were just on a call 20 minutes ago before this started. Good to see you joined us. But so to go back to this idea of 2 to 3 sentences, you want to have at most 4 lines of text. That's kind of like what we can parse. And if it's broader than that, we kind of zone out when we're reading online. So 2 to 3 sentences is good. The 1 sentence paragraph, stay away from that if you can, because I've seen this in summaries where it's just 1 sentence, 1 sentence, 1 sentence. I mourn for the future of paragraphs because of the online world. But what will happen is if you just have 1 sentence, it gets hard again for somebody who doesn't know about you to kind of put together meaning. So again, 2 to 3 sentences. Second paragraph. My differentiator, what makes me different? So this is where, again, you're putting that unique bit of yourself into it. This is the benefits of what you're doing for your clients, what sets you apart. So I'm going to use an example. I sell this. Here is why my clients like working with me. Here is what we're able to do for the clients we work with. Here is the unique perspective I bring to my role. It doesn't even have to be unique, but just relative, like authentic, what you're all about. It could be about you. It could be about your organization. If you work for a larger company, I do suggest having 2 statements here, an I statement and a we statement. The I statement is obviously about you, the we statement about your organization. This should not be all about your organization. Don't have your summary be about the company you work for. I go to your company's website if that's what I care about. I'm here for you. But for example, I work with a lot of large organizations where the first sentence might be the I statement about what I bring to the conversations with my prospects and clients. The second sentence is, here's what we as an organization bring. And if those 2 things can be connected, that's fantastic. They don't necessarily have to be, but 2 or 3 sentences, This is what I'm all about. This is why I'm passionate about what I do, the experience I have, the skill, the training, the certifications, whatever it might be, my personality, put that in there. The third paragraph, very short, and it's kind of a non sequitur. It's what I call a professional statement. And professional, I got this from a friend of mine, Jason Seiden, years ago, a combination of personal and professional online. The LinkedIn world definitely is a professional world. It is not strictly professional. Does that mean that we want to make it Facebook? Absolutely not. But you need to humanize yourself. You need to be a real person. And that's what the professional paragraph is about. This is not an online dating profile either. It's not, I like long walks on the beach. I enjoy fine dining or anything like that. Here's how you create a really good, engaging, professional statement that allows people to connect with you on a personal level, on a human level. Pick one thing outside of the realm of your job description. That could be a hobby. It could be a nonprofit you're really passionate about supporting. It could be an experience that, you know, makes you relatively unique, or just, again, something you like and really speaks to you. And then give one detail about that. So what I'm suggesting is that you don't do here's the 3 or 4 things about me. I love spending time with my dog, and I'm a huge Cubs fan, and I love going up to our cabin in Wisconsin. Obviously, that would be very Chicago oriented right there. They're just very general. Or I love this one. I love spending time with my family. Oh, great. You're not a psychopath. That doesn't mean anything. But if you say one thing, I love to golf, and my favorite experience was going to the Masters. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Like, I don't golf, but I might ask you about that. If you go to my profile, it'll say I played drums in a band for a long time. It's where I picked my nickname D Fish. Even though I don't play in the band anymore, the nickname stuck. So one, it tells people why I have a really kind of interesting nickname. But also, people ask me all the time about music. They'll say, hey, I'm a guitar player. You're a drummer. What kind of music did you play? And then we have this very human conversation around this. It makes it easy for somebody to metaphorically pick up the phone and talk to you and call you and engage with you. So you don't have to put a lot, just, again, something that's important to you. And it'll allow people to either start or continue the conversation. And that's what we really, really want to do. We want to make it easy for people to do that. Because as I've found over a career in sales, if you can have a human conversation with somebody, on the personal side, the professional engagement is so much easier because you've created that foundation. And so those are the 3 parts. Very simple. 2 or 3 sentences for each one. Keep it easy, keep it fast. What I would suggest is to get started, literally take a piece of paper. You can type it up, but I think even a piece of paper is easy enough. Divide it into 3 sections, right? And for each of these 3 sections, go, I do this. I do that, for the first section, my job is this. I do this. I work with my customers on this. Write a couple sentences out. What a lot of people if you don't write a lot, what we don't realize is that you need to have drafts. It's rarely the first draft that is the keeper, right? When you read a book, trust me, that has gone through many drafts, many revisions. It didn't look that good the first time it was shown to an editor, and then the editor fixed everything too. We got to do that for yourself as well. So do a draft. So do 2 or 3 sentences, put that together, put that piece of paper down, come back to it the next day. Look at it again. It's really weird, but that 24 hours, you will be like, that makes no sense. That's great. I totally forgot this other thing that I need to put in here. Edit it. At that point, it might be good to put it up, or ask somebody, ask a trusted colleague, a friend, somebody who will give you some honest feedback, right? So maybe not a family member, because they'll be like, oh, it looks great. You want somebody who's like, this is good, that's not clear. Ask them to look over real quick. It takes 5 minutes. Ask a favor. Hey, Trey, say, I'll look over yours if you want me to. Then put it up. And what's really nice is you can continue to iterate on this summary, right? It's evolving. It can evolve. It's a living, breathing document. It's so easy to go in there and change things. And you should. You should, look back on it every once in a while. So those are the three main sections. That's it. You don't have to make it long. If you have a very long summary, by the way, nobody's reading it. Nobody cares that much. They're not there for the autobiography. So I see people who treat their profiles like a landing page, and they're like, I'm going to just put tons and tons of stuff there. Nobody cares. And there's not a lot of evidence that a long LinkedIn profile means you're going to get found more in searches. So just hit the main points and then make sure that the person is going to be comfortable having a conversation with you. A couple other quick things. So the featured section is something that has recently been focused on. This was where you could put multimedia into your summary. You can now, it's actually called featured. Do that. Find a way to put some video, a PDF file, a slide show. This might be a deck that you show to clients or prospects. Might just be something about your company, but you can put that right into your profile. I love if you can have, for example, video of you, or if it's not of you, and this is especially if you work with a large organization, there's probably marketing video that has been shared by your organization. Pull some of that in, because instead of you having to say, we're a great solution provider for blank, you have a little video about it from the marketing team that just shows what you do. Brian, I know that you're on here, and another company that you work with has a lot of video about what you do for your clients, because you're doing really cool stuff with in-store video, right? So you have tons of video. Put one or two of them right into your summary section, right? So somebody who's, for example, a potential client goes, oh, he was talking about in-store summary, clicks and goes, oh, in-store video. They're like, this looks awesome. I want this done for my store. I should take this person's call, or I should respond to their email. That's what you're doing with the featured section. It's a way to share information in a non-written, a non-copy form, verbal, audio and visual. So use that. One little thing, I do suggest that your summary should be in the first person. You still sometimes see the third person stuff up there. Don't use third person. It makes you look like an ass. It makes you look pompous to be, or insane. Do you speak about yourself in the third person, just in real life? I mean, if you do, okay. But again, you might want to check out some therapy. But what happens is if you're in the third person, it means one of two things. One is the person thinks that somebody else wrote it, which is often the case. It looks like just a stale bio, and people trust it less. Because again, we're going to your profile. I'm expecting to hear from you. Or two, you think you're more important than you really are. This is, by the way, the suggestion I give. I don't care who you are. If you're the CEO of a big company, your profile summary should still be in the I. I think that's those are the main points. Any questions on stuff you've seen, stuff you've done or you shouldn't be doing, or like train wrecks you've seen you wanted to share? Anything else you want to throw up there? And those are the big blocks. There's so much you could do here. It's so important, but spend a little time and you'll be good. So I'm gonna stare at the camera for the next 20 seconds. If you have a question, just type it in really fast. If not, one thing I'll remind everybody, as things are, it's different all around the country right now, in the world. But if you're getting a chance to go out into the world right now a little more, that's great. Please be careful. Just remember that it's not only about you being safe, but becoming a carrier for other people that are maybe a little higher, have a little higher risk than you do. So I'm asking, obviously, please be safe, and thank the people who are and have been going out every day and making things continue to happen. For example, the delivery drivers, the cashier at CVS, the people stocking the grocery store shelves, obviously our frontline workers, the mailman, the mailwoman. Make sure you're saying thank you to them. Matt, good question. Do you have some examples of really good featured content that I've seen? So Matt, I know Dell's a great example of this. there's a couple places, and it depends again on what you've done. Some really good feature content can be a short interview that you have done, or whoever's profile it is. Not all of us have that opportunity, but a lot more of us have that opportunity than even a year or two ago between podcasts, video interviews, stuff like that. I think one thing that's really good, and I will say for large organizations that could be really effective. It doesn't even have to be that big of an organization. One is if you have any speaking engagements that you or somebody in your organization did. Again, it doesn't have to be you. Get a clip of that. And what I mean is don't put the whole 30-minute keynote up there or 20-minute presentation. Go, I want 3 minutes at most. 90 seconds to 120 seconds is even better. Get a clip of that. It's pretty easy to do. Find somebody who knows video. I didn't get that. Put that in as featured content. That can be really powerful. The other is just going to be a general news story, or it doesn't have to be like CBS. It could be just industry news story. That could be really good. Also, if you've done, and this is for salespeople and really everybody, but if you've ever done a presentation that has a deck that can be shared publicly, put that up there. You never know who's going to go click through and go, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. Those are some of the best examples I think that I've seen of it. Yeah, great question. Anything else? All right, we're getting to the 12 o'clock hour. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach back out. And of course, you can always go to my blog, davidgpfisher.com/blog. There's a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn there. In fact, I've got a full write-up on how to craft your LinkedIn profile summary. Also, you can check out my book, Networking in the 21st Century, on LinkedIn. It's available on Amazon. Just go ahead and do a quick search on that. And I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the experience section, another section that people really tend to screw up. They make it their resume. Nobody wants to read a resume. You really need to make it the narrative of your career. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And yeah, with that, as I'm saying to everybody all the time, and just as much to myself, because we're in week 10 of quarantine right now, be patient, be kind, and take care of one another. See you guys. Bye.